All right, shalom, shalom, Mr. Brother Mawasar.
Shalom, Mr. Brother Shamo All.
And today we going into what are you occupied in? I mean, as the title suggests, this is the question of the day. What are you occupied in? Being occupied in something like when you see the restroom sign and they say occupied and vacant and they say occupied. When it's occupied, it means what is you focused in? Like what is going on inside of whatever you doing? Are you occupied in getting money? If you maybe you losing sleep, like it say in Sirach 31:1, because you trying to get rich. 31:1 on down. Or maybe you occupied in likes and comments on Facebook and Instagram. And you do whatever whatever you occupied in, that's what's gonna show. So our question is, what what is that thing for you? What is the most important thing to you? Because one thing I learned is that whatever is important to you is gonna get your focus. Whether you like to admit it, whatever. If something is important to you, you're gonna focus on it. I promise you. If you ain't never had a nice pair of shoes and you just got your first fresh pair of J's, you gonna be thinking about them J's. You gonna make sure don't no marks get on them. You know what I'm saying? You gonna probably take pictures of them. You gonna keep looking at them. You ain't even gonna be able to sleep because you got them shoes. You ain't never had a nice car. You finally got a nice ride outside. That first night after you snatch that car off the lot, all you're gonna be thinking about is that car. You're gonna be occupied in it. But then the next question after that is, should we be occupied in whatever we occupied in? I might be occupied in getting women. Shema might be occupied in being the most well-known Israelite, on Instagram. He trying to be super brute. He's super Shema. Whatever it is, whatever your focus is in, that's what you occupied in. But I'm gonna let the brother kick it off. You got it.
Khan, all praise to the Most High. Right, y'all see the title, right? All praise to the Most High, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, right? For another day. You see the title, man. What are you occupied in? Because you got all hell breaking loose, man. Immigration, ICE, missiles being flown, right? Buttons being pushed, right? The penny is taken away, the dollar. Next thing you know, it's going to be digital currency. A lot of things going on in the world. So what are you really occupied in? Are you surfeiting? You trying to fulfill what the flesh, or you trying to get started? Because this world is trying to distract you from serving the Most High. So what are you occupied in? Right. Let's go to Luke chapter 21, verse 34. It says, "And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting." Right. It said, take heed to yourself. You need to take heed lest you be overcharged with surfeiting. Because if you're not taking heed to yourself, all hell can break loose while you were just binge watching on Netflix, while you was playing a game, or while you was doing something, um, that's not really of the spirit, of Yahweh Basham Yahushai. You get caught unaware. Right? It says, "And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness." Right? And that's not literally you being drunk. You could be drunk off things in this world that you love so much, right? Because that's what you partake in, your mind, your spirit, your soul. That's what you partake in. It's not son Jake just taking a bottle and he just overdosed in a Coke 45 or a TP or any of these famous drinks that brother like to drink, these hen dogs and tequila. That's not really, it's spiritual, man, right? It says, "Be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life." Because Esau, what he promotes in his world is money and clothes and shoes. Really, the spiritual demon Satan use Satan and these other nations to promote things in this world. Yes, you have to take care of yourself in captivity. The Lord said out of Paul, don't abuse the world. Let's get that. All right. Let's get that. First Corinthians chapter 7, verse 31. It says, "And they that use this world, right, as not abusing it." Yes, you have to use this world. Brothers got to take care of their families, take care of their kids, or a brother may have to take care of themselves. It's women in the truth that's, taking care of themselves the best of their ability, got their own place, and so on and so forth. So the Lord said out of the mouth of Paul, and they that use this world as not abusing it, right? So you don't want to abuse this world. How do you abuse it? You working 80 plus hours of overtime, right? You just continuously working on the Shabbat because you believe that, hey, if you don't work on the Shabbat, you're gonna be broke. You know, you overdosing and just going to party. You just in mirth when literally your people are poor, your people are getting deported, right? Know the kingdom getting deported, getting shipped up to God knows where, getting done to who knows what they are doing to them, you know. So the Lord said, right back to Luke in 21 and 34, it says, and take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, right? Because you don't want the cares of this life to distract you from Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. That's literally what this word is promoting. So what are you occupied in? What you need to be occupied in is the prophecies, is what's going on in the world. Because nothing good is happening to this place. This world is waxing old. Why? Because who's ruling? Esau, right? Let's get a classic, right? Let's get a classic, and then we're gonna go to Sirach, right? This Job chapter 9, verse 24. It says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. It said the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who is the wicked? The so-called white man, Esau, right? So you need to be occupied in the things that's going on in the world because Esau literally had this world in shambles, man. This world is waxing old because of the wicked one, right? And people who follow right behind him, right? It says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? And we know who he is. And if not, you know now. It's a so-called white man, right? So you need to be occupied in the prophecies, man, and seeing what's going on, or you be caught out there, knowing how to move, learning from your forefathers. This book, right? Let's get that. Sirach chapter 39, and then the brother got it. Right? Sirach chapter 39. See that? And ultimately, if you occupied in the prophecies, I mean, for one, you should love to do that. You should love to want to know more about history and how history repeat itself and, so on and so forth. Also, too, it gives you the fear of the Most High because everything was going on. The Lord has his hand around this place. The Lord is literally, at things getting worse and worse, the Lord is crumbling his hand. What is he crumbling? The elect is getting sealed. Two, the sinners are going to get destroyed. That's why his hand is crumbling, right? And then next thing you know, hey, it's done through the Spirit, right? So this Sirach chapter 39, verse 1, it says, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof. People are occupied in the wrong things. You got Jake occupied of this chick named Ashanti or, Zaquita, Tamika. He occupied in her. You should be occupied in wisdom, the prophecies, meditating on things of how to get your spirit right. Jake meditating on how to get his house right. Well, there's nothing wrong, build your house. But what about your spiritual house? What about your temple that the Lord gave you out of mercy, right? Read on, Shalakia. It says, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and we know our people are not giving their mind to the law of the Most High. They're giving their mind to things of this world, the cares of this life, right? The cares of this life, man. Not knowing that every single thing you do, you wake up, you take a shower, you eat, you go to work, you make your money doing all these things. Hey, that's of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. He the one that feeds you. He the one that wake you up. Esau having you think that if you don't get up and do anything, you're gonna be broke. Now, yes, I'm not saying that, hey, the Most High got me, and now you just not showing any form, no effort or no works or anything. All I'm saying is, don't think it's off your own will. It's all of the Most High. There's no free will, right? It says, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancients and be occupied in prophecies. Right? So the point is we need to be occupied in prophecies, occupied in the state of our people, not the state that you in. Yes, taking care of yourself, but as a nation, all hell is breaking loose. And if we're not out there feeding the sheep and warning our people, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is coming soon, and that, hey, this world is waxing weaker and weaker, this world is getting more evil, right? Hey, they gonna be caught out there, man, right? So, but you got to,
All right. I wanted to get you can hear me, right? Okay, come on. I just want to make sure. Right. I just want to get this in Matthew chapter 6. It's Matthew chapter 6 and verse number, let's get straight to it. Verse number 21 says, "For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." And that's literally what we're going into. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Like with Judas Iscariot, his treasure was in money. That's what he treasured. He treasured treasure. So in the end, that's where his heart was at. He had a chance to walk with the Lord. He had a chance to do the work with the Lord. He's one of the 12. I mean, think about that. And yet and still, because he treasured something other than the situation he had, his heart wasn't in it. You know, they got a saying like you 1 foot in, 1 foot out type of thing. You know, and this is something that I've struggled with before, so I know how it is. Right, and let's get that in Revelation chapter 3, because that's one thing that the Most High don't like, is for us to be like halfway focused or like halfway in it, or halfway occupied. This is Revelation chapter 3 and verse number 15. It says, "I know thy work, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou wert cold or hot." So he's saying like you gotta pick a side. Ain't no kind of dipping your toe in it. No, you gonna jump in the deep end, or you gonna stay on the dry land. That's how this goes. So when it comes down to, okay, well, I want to be a hot girl, but I want to be a daughter of Sarah at the same time, it don't work. Never has worked, never will work. You can't, okay, I want to still be, OG Ray J from the hood, but I'm the camp priest at the same time. It don't work like that. You can't be occupied in, being a street legend and being a street preacher at the same time. You gotta pick something. Right? You remember that precept where it say, no man can serve two masters? I know it's in Matthew. I just can never think of the precept.
Matthew 6 and 24.
Matthew 6. I'm already here. All praise. It's Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. Or I'm gonna start back at 21 and we gonna walk it down. It's Matthew 6 and 21. "For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness?" It said the eye is the light of the body. What does a light do? A light helps you navigate where to go, where not to go. It helps you understand what's going on. All right. So it said if your eye is single, your eye is focused, how great is that focus? But if your eye is evil, how great is that evil? If that's the light. Imagine a light is a guide. You being led by darkness, because that's all your eyes ever see. You got certain people, they might go to a nice neighborhood, they see nice homes and nice cars. Other people might go to the neighborhood, they see a couple licks they can hit, because that's how they look. That's how they think. It really comes down to how you think, right? If you always, it says from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speak. Let me get that. Right. All of these different precepts that's talking about how what you occupied in, it has a great effect on you. This Matthew chapter 12 and verse 34. "O generation of vipers, how can ye, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh." So there's absolutely no way that in the abundance of your heart, you got hot girl spirit, or you got the street ninja spirit, or you got the I can do it all. You in the truth, but you going to Pride Month marches. You doing stuff like that. You sharing, happy pride and all that. And coming out day, and you sharing the rainbow emojis on your social media. But then right after that, you posting Kwame Yasharala. Like how wild is that? You got I'm not lying. I wish there was another brother who was at camp with us. We just had a brother tell us, without us provoking him or nothing, oh yeah, I know I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Then he get to talking about, oh, I have to align my chakras and my throat chakra and my stuff. I thought you just said you was an Israelite like 10 seconds ago. Now you talk about throat chakras. You feel what I'm saying? This is what happens when your eye is not single. Imagine a Christian who says, I keep Ramadan. How much sense would that make? Imagine a Muslim celebrating Easter. It's backwards. But let me get this in James. James chapter 1. Right? And this is a really good topic. It's a topic that I didn't even really think about. All praise the brother brought it out, because it really is important to understand what you occupied in and the effect that really has. This James chapter 1 and verse number 8. It says, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So look at all the people in the Bible who was double-minded and how that destroyed them. Look at Jonah. The Lord had mercy on him. He wanted to serve the Lord, but then he got mad when the Lord didn't do it his way. But then he loved the Lord, but then he catching attitudes with his mind. He was all over the place. You feel what I'm saying? Then you got people who I was completely single, and they were single-minded and not double, like Yahweh Shai. And you see how he was moving. It was business at all times. It wasn't no games to be played. You getting rebuked or you getting healed. Which one you want? And that's really the same spirit we got to move in. When we at camp, we not here to be buddy. And listen, we occupied and doing the work. And a lot of times we can forget that. We be trying to kind of kick it a little too much with people. And we got to understand we in the truth. Not just for the people that's going to camp. That's the people at home too. I don't care where you a couch Israelite, you just don't like camps, but you in the truth, or maybe you thinking about joining camp. I don't care what level of the truth you on. If you claim to be in the truth, you keeping these commandments and the faith in Yahweh Shai, then you got to make sure that you occupied in the right thing, which is the truth. You can get around your mama and them and your grandma and them just a little too long, and you start slipping. You know what I'm saying? I done caught myself certain times. I'm a little too comfortable with the smoke that's going on in the room. Usually I tell them, hey, can y'all, just kind of move around with that. But you sit there too long, they might spark, you ain't smoking or nothing, but you might not say nothing this time. And then that's how I start. Then by you not saying nothing, then next time you don't say nothing, they might sit next to you and spark the blunt. And you don't say nothing, you just letting it slide. And then little by little. Then 6 months later, y'all hotboxing three woods back to back. But all because you was occupied in the wrong thing. And it's an easy trap to fall in. So I yield with that. I'm gonna let the brother get in there.
Con, that's right, man. Hey, that's a scary feeling, man. And that's how a lot of people fall short, because little do they know they not standing their ground, in the spirit Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So right, yeah, this is we really do need to be occupied in the Lord and what's going on. Right. This second Esdras chapter 9, verse 1, he said, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, right, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And we see the Most High is visiting the world, man. His hand is already on this place. We see it crumbling. We see America falling day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, man. This place is waxing weak. So what are you occupied in? The finals, OKC, and the Pacers. Yeah, you may have some little bit of free time, But all you do is talk about every day is the Pacers. That's all you talk about. Yeah, Holly, what's his name? Holly Burden, Holly Burden, whatever his name is. You know, hey man, he going crazy. How many times you gonna say he going crazy? You've been saying this every day. What else are you occupied in? Right? If somebody keep talking about worldly things majority of the time, you know what they occupied in. They always talking about the video game. You know what they occupied in. You know what their mind is on, right? I want to read that again. It says, I'm gonna read verse 1 again. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, right? And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, right? And the Most High told us before. The Most High let us know and continue to let us know. And if you forget, he will show you, right? He will show you and you will see it. Another brother may send you some things, maybe a sister, maybe your wife, right? Or you damn to people who always on social media strolling all the time, you would end up seeing all hell breaking loose in the world, right? That's the Lord telling you to measure the time diligently, because this place is not how it was before 2003, 2005, and 6, 7. It ain't the same no more, right? Verse 2, it says, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Right? Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, there's uproars in the people in the world as we live in today. And it was also during the time of Paul. It was also in the time in the ancient world. Moses, Joshua, right? David. There was uproars in the people, right? And Lord willing, we could bring those accounts out, right? It says earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, right? And we see a lot of earthquakes, man. We see a lot of the Lord stirring up the elements to destroy these other nations and our people, right? We seeing people get killed. We see people get taken, right? Man, kidnapped, right? Verse 4, it says, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of these things from the days that were before thee, right? And if you're not being occupied and you asking why is this happening and why is that, it's because look what you focus on. I mean, look what you focus on, plain and simple. It says even from the beginning, because if you're not focused on this been told. This been told, right? Let's get that. Let's get Acts. Let's get Acts chapter 18. Because this happened during the Paul. It's nothing but uproars and a whole bunch of madness going on. Right? This Acts chapter 18. I'm gonna start at verse. I didn't want Acts 18. I wanted. Right. I want to Acts 19. Acts 19. I'm gonna start at verse 24. Right. It says, for a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver strings for Diana, right, which is off for another god, right, read, brought no small gain unto the craftsman. So, right, he was a businessman, right? He was a silversmith. He was making funds. He was making a lot of money. You got Jakes right now making a lot of money in this day world, in these days world, right? I mean, today, I mean, you making a lot of money, man. So let's see how that man moves when he's making a lot of money in this place, right? It says, whom he called together with the workmen of like occupation and said, sirs, ye know that by this craft we have our wealth. You start thinking about your money. You start worrying about things. Oh man, I can't lose my house. You know, I can't get rid of this job, man. It's paying me too much. You know, brothers showing so much love to their jobs, but not to the Most High, right? Read on verse 26. Moreover, ye see and hear that not alone at Ephesians, but also throughout all Asia, that Paul hath persuaded and turned away much people, saying that they be no gods which are made with hands, right? So that not only this, our craft is in danger to be set at naught. So while things, so basically Paul is turning the world upside down as we do today. And him realizing this, him finding out the truth, when brothers see things what's happening to the world, blood moons and this and that, God forbid a brother that's in the body thinking this, but there's other people around the world outside of the truth, they start to worry about their jobs, man. How I'm gonna eat and how I'm gonna do. Hey, what are you occupied in? Because you so worrying about how to feed yourself, but you not worrying about how to feed your spirit. You worrying about how to feed your flesh and the next concert and all this madness, right? You you not worrying about what's going on, right? Reading on, it says, right? It says, so that not only this our craft is in danger to be set at naught, but also that the temple of the great goddess Diana should be despised, and her magnificence should be destroyed, whom all Asia and the world worship, right? Which is madness. Because as Jake worrying about the world, he worrying about what the world worships through the spirit. Little do he know, right? Verse 28, and when they had heard these sayings, they were full of wrath and cried out, saying, great is Diana of Ephesians, right? And the whole city was full of confusion, right? And the whole city is full of confusion today. They confused, man. All hell breaking loose. It says, and having caught like Gaius and or Aristarchus, Salaka for the pronunciation, men of Macedonia, Paul's companions in travel, they rushed with one accord into the theater, right? So, hey, that's nothing but a tumult that's going on. All hell breaking loose. So now they trying to get Paul. They tell Paul, "Hey, man, we need to rush to the theater." Right? Paul wants to go to the theater. Read on, it says, and when Paul have entered into the people, the disciples suffer him not. Like, don't even enter, man. It's a lot going on. But you're gonna have people that get caught out there. So ain't nothing new under the sun. So what are you occupied in? Because when the Lord turn up that heat, it's a wrap, man. But you gotta
I want to get into this second Esdras 14, right? Because Esdras, just like us, the prophets of old was always asking questions about, like, Lord, when is this gonna happen? Or Lord, when is that gonna happen? Or they was always writing about the prophecy for this, and I didn't understand this part of the vision. You'll read a lot in like in the book of Daniel, some of the things he didn't quite understand when he first heard them. But the thing is, they was curious about it. Right? Let me get Proverbs 18 and 1 right quick, and then I want to get second Esdras. It's Proverbs chapter 18 in verse 1. This is one of the absolute best ways that you can get yourself back on track. It's Proverbs 18 and 1. Through desire, a man, having separated himself, seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom. And the key part of that is having separated himself. Now, we're not telling you to be an individualite, but we are telling you that according to the scripture, sometimes you got to take a step back to yourself to intermeddle with that wisdom that you need. Like they say, sometimes you got to go low and stack. Sometimes you got to go low and stack spiritually. Your spirit might be low. You got a whole lot of stacking to do. You might have to, I don't know, you might have to schedule your next 4 fasts in advance. Okay, this day for the next 4 weeks, I got to fast on this day. I got to make sure that you might just set up stuff to make sure that you occupied in the right stuff. Because I'm telling you, it's very hard to be occupied in the wrong stuff when you know you got to do a fast. When you're on that fast, it's hard to be occupied in just about anything else but that fast. You can't eat, you can't drink nothing. So you got to focus. So that'll put you in that state where you got to read that chapter you've been avoiding to read. Right? So this is one of my favorite verses. I'm going to read this again. This Proverbs 18 and 1. Through desire, a man, having separated himself, seeketh intermeddleth with all wisdom. And it says separated himself. Should nobody have to do it for you? You have to separate yourself to do it. You understand? It's just a lot of times we be having bad relationships, like toxic relationships with our bad habits, if that makes sense. Right? We just keep running back to our bad. It's like an ex you can't get over. You might be on top of your reading, on top of your praying for a good 2 months, and then you had that 1 month slump where you just clowning. Then you get back right, and then for another 2, maybe 3 months this time, because you want to beat your last record, and then you have a month where you slack, and you just got to keep starting over. Well, at some point, you got to have some pattern recognition, or as the Bible calls it, discretion, to be like, hold on, why is it that every time I do X, Y, and Z, I get this result? You know, why is it every time that I'm occupied and doing that 80 hours of overtime, like the brother said, my reading fall off? Why is that? You know, and then after you ask yourself that, you can figure out, okay, I'm occupied in the wrong thing. I'm more worried about getting money than going to camp. I'm more worried about securing my next wife than making sure that I read my chapter and do my flashcards. I'm more concerned about getting the most shalawams under every picture that I post fresh with my ZZs hanging, instead of being your brother's keeper. So let's get this in 2nd Ezra chapter 14, and let's see what the Most High told Ezra to be occupied in. Right, I'm gonna start at verse 11. For the world is divided into 12 parts, and the 10 parts of it are gone already, and half of 10 parts. So at this time, out of 12 parts, 10 and a half was already gone. And this was thousands of years ago. This is before Christ. So it was almost over back then. How much now? If it was 10 and a half, what you think, Shema? What we at, like 11.999 out of 12?
Oh man, it's hard
Somewhere, I mean, we up there, you know,
yeah.
right? I'm gonna keep reading. Now, therefore, set thine house in order and reprove thy people. So he said, now that we understand that it's finna go down soon, this is what you got to do. Set your house in order, right? Focus on home first. You can't do nothing outside if at home it ain't right. Get yourself right at home, you know? And a lot of times this could be literal. Bro, a clean house will do something for your mind, I'm telling you. A clean house. But it's just like, it's like taking a shower, like a real hot, I'm talking about a steamy shower, and you step out that shower and that cold air, it's just like, it feel like heaven. It's the same thing with a clean house. Same thing with a clean temple inside. Let me tell you, you're going to be pissed off while you're on your fast, but you're going to feel great when your fast ends, I guarantee you. You're going to feel rejuvenated. You're going to feel reset. Hey, sometimes you be in the spirit so much, you don't even want to end your fast yet. You might go another hour. That didn't happen to me before. I was on a fast, and I was super hungry, and then all of a sudden time came, and I'm like, you know, I just kept doing whatever I was doing. I didn't eat until an hour after my fast was over. But it all starts with being occupied in your fast, right? A 24-hour fast starts with the first 24 seconds, which is, okay, I'm doing this fast, and you stick to it. So he said, set thine house in order and reprove thy people. Not only do you fix your house, you got to get everybody else together too. I got to tell Shema, hey, you know what I'm saying? Shema, I'm using an example that ain't realistic. Shema ain't got no kids. Hey, Shema, you need to take care of your son. That's my job to tell. Hey, you don't want your son running around like one of these YNs. You better take care of your son. That's my job to do that for him. If I'm slacking on my teaching at camp, I'm teaching lazy, you know, I'm bringing it out with no energy. Brother got to reprove. Hey, what's going on? I see an issue here. It's my job to address it. That don't mean I got to slap Shema all upside the head. You know, that don't mean I got to cuss them out. And I actually got a precept for that. You don't want to do that. This is, y'all know I'm going to Sirach. Y'all knew it was coming. It's Sirach chapter, what am I looking for? Sirach chapter 20 and verse number 4. Sirach chapter 20 and verse 4. As is the lust of an eunuch to deflower a virgin, so is he that executeth judgment with violence. It's like not having a ride and trying to get down with a woman. Just as ridiculous as that sounds, that's how ridiculous it is to try to execute judgment with violence. Me to snatch a brother up, hey, don't step on my shoe no more, or we're going to have a problem. Instead of just talking to that man, you know? So we got to make sure that when we reproving our people, which is something we're supposed to be occupied in, there's a way to do it. I'm going to get another precept in Sirach, chapter 6 and verse 1. This Sirach, chapter 6 and verse number 5. Sweet language will multiply friends, and a fair speaking tongue will increase congregants. Right? So when we occupying ourselves and reproving our people and setting our house in order, hey, even when you setting your house in order, you don't want to be like so occupied that you become a lion in your household. Like, you don't want to be a drill sergeant. Yeah, you want to get your family in order, but you have to understand that by you being, in this case, I'm speaking to the man, there's certain things you're capable of at certain levels of intensity that your family is just not. It might take your wife a little longer to grasp a concept that it don't take you long at all. And you got to be able to work with them, just like the Most High work with us. We've been in the truth for however long, however many years, and let me tell you, we ain't figured it all out yet. I haven't. I can speak for me. You know, I still be having to figure stuff out as I go. I be having to learn. Brothers got to check me, all that. But you have to be occupied in the right things for that to happen. If you occupied in the world and can't nobody tell you nothing, you on the sinner's path. I'm gonna get that, and then you got that. You got it. Let's go to Sirach chapter 21 and verse number 6. This Sirach chapter 21 and verse number 6. He that hateth to be reproved is in the way of sinners, but he that feareth the Lord will repent from his heart. So while we occupying ourselves and reproving the people and all of that, understand that if you are the type of person that cannot be reproved, because reproof is tough love. If I tell a brother, hey, you slacking, you know, take that woman on a date. You want your wife, you got to date your wife. That's not me hating this brother. That's me loving him. But if he can't take that correction, the Bible say he on the sinner's path. You feel what I'm saying? I tell the brother, you've been kind of, I see that anger on you. I don't want you to, I know how you can get when you get real angry, brother. I ain't trying to hear that. Then, hey, by the end of the night, the brother done got locked up. He done did something to somebody, all because he didn't take that correction. So what you occupied in is literally life or death. It's got a saying in the world, if you look for trouble, it'll find you. And that's a fact. What you looking for will find you. If you looking for, you know how they be out. You know, they where the 304s at. You know, they pull up to the party. First thing they ask, where the girl, and they gonna find them. Now, whatever situation they end up in for being so thirsty, hey, that's on them, but they gonna find whatever they're looking for. If you looking for some drugs, you're gonna find it. I promise you. If you want it bad enough, you're gonna find it. So we gotta remember that, but you got it right.
We gotta remember that, man. Right? Literally. I mean, whatever you dipping and dabbing in, that's what you're gonna get. And that's the judgment you deserve. Because that's what you was focused on. Right? This Sirach chapter 5 and verse 10, it says, be steadfast in thy understanding. What does be steadfast mean? Right? Let's get that. Let's read that definition. What does be steadfast mean? Right? I ain't even gotta do all that. Go to, all right, Lord willing, we can now I get a laptop. Now brothers can't share the screen. You know, but most I willing things get straight. Alright. So steadfast. What is that? All right. Steadfast. It says, right? It says unwavering. Right? It says standing firm. Right? It says resolutely or dutifully firm and unwavering, man. Right? So it says, let's read that again. It says, be steadfast in thy understanding. What's your understanding? Your understanding should be of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Everything that you speak should be of the Lord, of the Bible. Because that's what we get our understanding from, the precepts from the Lord. It says, be steadfast in thy understanding. Now, what are you being steadfast in? You got Jake, he's mighty and strong drink. You got Jakes out here, they can drink. And he's unwavering. He's steadfast in that drinking. He steadfast in the tequila. He steadfast on the dinner time of his grandmother. She cooking. He got plate after plate after plate. Hey, it says, be steadfast and think understanding, man. Right? Be steadfast and think understanding and let that word be the same. Meaning, be a man of your word. If say you're gonna do something, do it. Right? So whatever you occupied it in, which it should be the Lord, that means you being steadfast. Because if you're not, you're gonna be wavering. You're gonna be tossed to and fro, right? Because you're not being firm in the faith. You're not being firm in His truth. You damn occupied it in whatever that may be, your flesh, the world, right? What are you looking at? What are you what are you looking at? Let's get that. Let's go to Sirach. I ain't expect to be in Sirach that much, man. Right? I read Sirach the next
Come
day.
on now, Ak, you know how it is.
Yeah, like I read a couple chapters in Sirach. Now I'm in Sirach. That's the spirit though. Sirach chapter 31 and verse 13. It said, remember that a wicked eye is an evil thing, and what is created more wicked than an eye, right? Therefore it weepeth upon every occasion. So what are you staring at? What are you gazing upon? Because when you gaze, you know, in the Hebrew, that literally means to stare. What are you staring at? What are you looking at? Because whatever you look at, it goes right to your brain, then the dopamine, and then all these and stuff. Next thing you know, that's what you're gonna get, right? So what are you staring at? Because if you looking at whatever that may be, that's what you're gonna be occupied in. Because it's shot through your brain, it gives you that dopamine, and you want more and more and more and more. You should be doing that with Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. You should be doing that with wisdom. You should be doing that of the prophecies, what's going on. Because ultimately, when you see it, that should give you the fear of the Most High. But you see in today's world, they don't have the fear of the Lord. Because what are they occupied it in? Madness, man. Right? So I don't want this precept to escape my mind. What I wanted, man. I did not want it to escape me. Right? But let's get it. I'm gonna just get Psalms 119. Lord willing to come back to Isaiah 9. All praise to the Most High. Isaiah chapter 10 and verse, right? I'm gonna start at verse 23, right? Right. This is going into the Assyrians, right? After the Lord, you know, got really the judgment of the Assyrians, right? Because the Assyrians obviously, Israel, the Assyrian captivity, which is 27 BC, they got held captive. The Lord is telling the Assyrians their judgment and telling Israel what I'm finna get to, telling Israel how long it's gonna take. This is the same spirit of us in captivity today, right? So this Isaiah chapter 10, verse 23. It says, for the Lord God of hosts shall make a consumption even determined in the midst of all the land, right? It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord, right? Therefore, thus saith the Lord God of hosts, O my people that dwelleth in Zion, be not afraid of the Assyrians. He shall smite thee with a rod and shall lift up his staff against thee after the manner of Egypt, right? So the Lord is talking to Israel, right? Northern kingdom, right? About, hey, what the Assyrians finna do to you, don't be afraid. How can you be occupied in this world and all the things and the evils that's being manifest, that's happening, that the Lord put upon you of this place, right? If you see all the things of the world, you're not occupied in this, you will be afraid of what's going on. You would not actually be steadfast in the faith, because look what you was dipping and dabbing in. You was dabbing in mad. You was club hopping instead of hopping a precept upon precept. You was hopping drinks. You was hopping women from women hopping from man to man, but you wasn't hopping in the precepts, right? That's madness, man. Right? It says, he shall smite thee with the rod and shall lift up his staff against thee after the manner of Egypt. After the manner of Egypt, why the Lord said that is because we were captive in in Egypt when the Egyptians enslaved us. So after the manner of Egypt, the same way Egypt did to us, that's what the Assyrians going to do to Israel, to the northern kingdom. The same way how Babylon is doing to us, right? Read on, it says, for yet a very little while, The Lord said a little while. He's speaking about the Assyrians, how's they got the smiting them with the rod, man, how the Assyrians is. And the Lord sent them against Israel because they've been disobedient. Just how the Lord sent, Esau, right, against, all 12 tribes, man, to Israel, to us. This is why we captive today, right? It says, for yet a very little while. The Lord says, for a little while. And the indignation shall cease, right? And my anger and their destruction, right? So the Lord said it's going to be a little while. So while you occupied and everything else, wow, all hell breaking loose once this happened, bombs and famine and, things that's literally the Lord said is going to happen, and he's not going to turn his hand from it. You're going to be afraid. You're going to be afraid, man. You're going to literally think that, there's no God. And God forbid that's any one of us. There's people out there that doesn't believe in the Most High, that doesn't know they're Israelite. They don't know that the Lord himself can deliver them out because he created all these things to happen, right? It says, for yet a very little while, and the indignation shall cease, and my anger and their destruction, right? And the Lord of hosts shall stir up a scourge for him, according to the slaughter of Midian at the rock of Oreb, and as his rod was upon the sea, so shall he lift it up after the manner of Egypt. See that? The Lord is literally telling you this gonna all this is for a little while, or what we going through. But how can you be steadfast, in the understanding of the Lord, if you steadfast in club hopping, partying, drinking, smoking, the things that's of the flesh, things that's highly esteemed in this world, and not being steadfast in the prophecies? Because what if I wasn't the Lord that put on my spirit to be steadfast? I wouldn't even know this precept to even bring it out to y'all, to know what's going on. All praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh. This is why we were supposed to go into something else. But the Lord said, hey, we're going to go into this. This is all of the Lord, because what are you occupied in? Like you gotta get your mind right, Israel. We got to get our minds right. There's other times our minds shift, right? I'm going to present this. Speaking of that, it's this book. I haven't read it in a while. Let me get back to it. This is Napoleon Hill, right? It says Outwitting the Devil, right? The secrets, freedom, and success. But we know you only get success, Salakia. You only get success by keeping the commandments of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, right? But this book, it's a decent book. It says, this is the author, Napoleon Hill, of, Think and Grow Rich, So, but this book literally speaks about your mind being drift. It's people out here that's drift. They're drifters, right? Meaning that they easily get distracted. They easily get manipulated. This is why it's called, Outwitting the Devil. So I low-key recommend that book, man. Check it out. Because if you not being steadfast, you unwavering. Hey, that book speaks about it. Ultimately, the Lord speaks about it. So the Lord said this is only for a little while. But if you're not knowing this, that the Lord spoke this to you so you could be prepared through the spirit of what's to come, you're going to think it's for a long time. You think it's going to last forever, man. All right, we've been appointed for these things. And if you come into this truth thinking it's not appointed to you, something's wrong with you, man. Right? Something is clearly wrong with you. Right? I got one more precept. Let's get Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Matter of fact, I want Isaiah. I'm thinking about two precepts at the same time. All right, let's get Isaiah 13. Let's get a classic. Isaiah 13 and verse 14. It says, and it shall be as the chase road, and as sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee everyone to his own land. Right? I love this precept. This precept is classic because this is literally what's going to go on. Everybody's going to turn to their own people. So if you out here not being occupied in the Lord, not understanding that your own people is who keep the commandments, right? Because that's who your family is. Yahweh said himself, Matthew 12 and 49 on down, right? Your family is who do the will of the Lord, right? So if you're not being steadfast, you're not being occupied in the truth, knowing who your real family is, you're gonna be caught out there, man. You know, pay attention to how you think. All the thoughts that manifest in your flesh, and because for one, it's not you. Two, you know, you will get destroyed. But you gotta
I want to get this in let me see where I want to go with this. All right. I wanted to get into Ecclesiastes, but I'm feeling Proverbs 6 better. So we're going to go with that. Go to Proverbs chapter 6. And it's a specific verse that I want. It talks about, the folding of the hands. Right? It's Proverbs chapter 6. And verse number, we are going to start at 9. How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that traveleth, and thy want as an armed man. So he say, just a little bit of sleep. Like a look. Let's get Sirach 19:1. Let's get the classic. And it's another precept I'm thinking of that it kind of says the same thing in different words, but I can't think of it at the moment. This Sirach chapter 19, verse 1. Verse 2. No, this Sirach 19:1. A laboring man that is giving to drunkenness shall not be rich, and he that contemneth small things shall fall by little and little. Right? So like it said in Proverbs 6, just a little bit of sleep, a little bit of slumber. Like it's saying Sirach chapter 19, contemning just the little things, the small stuff. Right? We got to really think about the devil is in the details, like they say in the world. Hey, that's facts. Just think about it. Anything can look good. I can shine up a car, get it buffed, repaint it, all that. But if on the inside, the engine knocking, the serpentine belt is about to snap in half, the alternator is on the way out the door, the catalytic converter been shot for a year, surprised that the car is still running, then it doesn't matter. Because the little things about it, it don't matter how it look, it matters how it is. And that's why we got to make sure that we taking care of the small things. This is something I've been guilty of in the past, of not paying attention to the small things. You be so focused on the forest that you don't see the trees no more. You feel what I'm saying? And that's why, like when Paul said, knowledge puffeth up. That's a beautiful, heavy thing he said, because it really does. You get a little knowledge and you forget how to be kind to people. You got people who like that. They get so occupied in being wise and being knowledgeable that they forget the other parts of the things. They forget the charity part. They forget the love part and the joy part and the gentleness part. And then they just be over righteous. That's something you don't want to be occupied in, is being over righteous. That's how you bug yourself out. You in a constant search for it's really a dopamine hit. That's what it really is. It's not even a constant search for wisdom. Like when people end up falling off into other doctrines, they chasing a dopamine hit, because the truth don't give them that same dopamine hit no more. When they read Deuteronomy 28 and 68, it don't just hit them as hard as it used to. So now they got to search for a new doctrine that does, instead of just being steadfast in the one they got. When Christ said, let's get that. When he said enduring to the end, and that's the ultimate thing to be occupied in. If I had to pick one thing, I'd be occupied in enduring into the end. Because the thing about endurance is that if it was fun, you wouldn't have to endure it. I never had a brother say, or I had to endure, a passionate night with my wife. Why that's not enduring. Exactly. It don't even make sense. So if he's telling you, he that endures to the end shall be saved, that means you're going to go through something. It's going to be hard. You're going to be running that race and you're going to feel your legs giving up, whether that's spiritually, sometimes physically. Let's get this. It's Matthew chapter 24 and verse number 13. I'm going to start at verse 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this word shall, when it says that in the Bible, you have to understand that that's not maybe, that's not probably, that's not if he feel like doing. When it says shall happen, when it says because iniquity shall abound, that means it's Pride Month. You ain't seen it get bad yet. You know, hey, they got this thing in Milwaukee. They do it every year. We see it at camp. Every day they do it right in front of the camp. They do a naked bike ride downtown, where there are hundreds of grown men and women who come through on bikes with no clothes on. They do it every Pride Month, and they ride in the middle. It's broad daylight. We talking 3, 4 in the afternoon, man. Imagine you out with your kids. You see a hundred dudes with no clothes on riding bikes down the middle of the street, and you with your son. Imagine you with your daughter. You with your wife, and she sees some dude, some old dude thing flopping around in the air. Broad daylight. Imagine that. Imagine if bro. This is fact. I wish one of the other Milwaukee brothers was on here so they could vouch. This is facts. We're not making nothing up. Because that type of stuff is going to abound. Christ said, "The love of many shall wax cold." That'll make brothers fall out the truth. Saying stuff like that. You know, a brother will see what's going on with these other camp leaders and stuff they got going on behind closed doors. It'll make a brother be like, man, maybe this truth thing ain't it. I keep hearing about this camp leader, this camp going into different doctrines, this camp teaching that all nations can be saved now. This Israelite camp, this shot at this Israelite. You see all this stuff going on, and that can offend you out of the truth. That can make your love wax cold. Here it is, you've been coming to camp 5, 6, 7 years faithfully, and then half your camp fall out the truth. It's just it was 6 of y'all, now it's just 3. And a lot of brothers, that'll make your love wax cold. Man, I'm cool on this truth thing. You might go be an individual. Like, you might throw your fringes all together, man. It was cool. You know, like they say a lot of times, it's a running joke, the Israelite phase. Don't be one of them brothers who just had an Israel. Yeah, I used to be one. I remember back in the day, I used to. We hear people say that at camp. Oh, I used to be into that, brother. I know what you talk. What you mean you used to be into the truth? Think about that. That statement. I used to be in the truth. I used to be in the truth. So that means you're accepting. Go ahead.
Hey, I heard a brother say, right, when I was in the truth. You still call it the truth, but you say when I was in the truth. What?
And you literally acknowledging that what I'm doing now is BS. And I know it because I'm calling what you're doing the truth. So you telling me in my face, you telling me and Shamal all while we at camp bringing the word up that I know y'all are doing the truth, but I don't do what y'all do no more. I used to back in the day though. How much sense does that make, man? Just like the brother, I wish I was lying. You got the brother talking about he knows he's an Hebrew Israelite. He said he knows. And then in his next breath, he talking to us about activating his chakras. That was like last week. That was, what's today? That was like Friday, the last Friday camp. Or last Saturday camp, man. This stuff is really going on. That's what happens when you're not occupied in the right thing. I'm gonna get my last precept. That's all I got for, right now. I got Proverbs chapter 4, and then I'm gonna pass it back to you, Ak. But that's just madness. Like, just imagine saying that. Oh, I used to be in the truth. Like, I used to do what was, I used to believe 2 + 2 is 4. That's what you're telling me. I used to believe that. Back in the day when I was a young man like you, I used to believe 2 + 2 was 4. But now it's 5. How much sense does that make, man? We got to get it together. This Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 23. Let's get the classic. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. If you really think about it, everything starts with your mind. Everything. You can't even move. I couldn't move my hand without my mind working. So literally everything, I couldn't speak this language. I couldn't articulate my points that we bringing out for the video about what you occupied in if it wasn't for my mind. Everything starts in your mind. So if you're not keeping your heart with all diligence, your heart is the deepest parts of your mind. What they say, follow your heart. They're not saying follow that thing that pump blood. They saying follow your desire. Right? Just imagine if you kept, if all day, every day you focused on, I'm going to only put into my mind what I need to put in there. So that means on your social media, you start going through your followers or your following, and you unfollowing all them pages that post stuff that ain't got nothing to do with what you got going on in life. Yeah, you might miss the meme. Hoodville, you might have to unfollow him, bro. I know the post is funny, and he be having the good captions and future posts. But if you're a brother that deal with adultery, or you trying to not focus on women so much, maybe you need to cut off that part of your hand. Maybe that's a left hand you need to cut off. That's what you need to be occupied in. Maybe another brother need to be occupied in. Get a fasting schedule. That's what you need to be occupied. That's how you keep your heart with all diligence. Because me keeping my heart is different from Shema all keeping his heart. It's certain things that come natural to him that he does to keep his heart that's not natural to me, and vice versa. Shema all might be more patient than me, but me keeping my heart, me understand that out of my heart come the issues of life. I might have to work on my patience. Like, nah, you know, every time it's such and such situation happening, I get mad. It ruined my whole day. And it's starting to stress me out being mad all the time. So maybe I need to try this. Maybe I need to change up this. Instead of this, I'm going to try that next time. Okay, I always respond like this when I get this type of statement. I'm going to try to not react next time. And just watch what happens. That's keeping your heart with all diligence, understanding what your heart needs. And I'm going to leave y'all with this before I pass to the brother. I was reading a book. This brother brought out that book, and I would love to read that book, Outwitting the Devil. It was another book that I'm reading right now about human behavior and all that. And they had a mighty point. They said the lack of understanding of something is the main cause of disregard for it. I'm going to try to clean that up for y'all. You not understanding what you have is why you disregard it. It's why you treat it like garbage. Think about your soul. Think about these rappers. They give away their soul. They give away their manhood for money. Why don't they ever stop and think, wait a minute, they willing to give me $10 million just for me to do something freaky? How much is my soul worth if all they want me to do is go to a Diddy party before I sign this contract? All they want is my soul. They willing to give me millions of dollars for my soul. Why don't they ever stop to think about that? Because lack of understanding of something is the main cause of disregard for it. And then there's a second part of that. Because it says anything that cannot be understood cannot be managed intelligently. When I read that, it blew I'm like, whoa. So not only you disregarding it because you don't understand it, and because you don't understand it, that's why you don't take care of it the right way. That's what it's saying in layman's terms. So think about any time that you fell short in something and understanding there was a lack of understanding somewhere, and because of your lack of understanding, that's why you mismanaged it. That's why you did that. When Judas, his understanding was he was going to betray the Lord and he was going to ball out of control with his 30 shekels of silver or whatever it was. After he betrayed him, he understood, nah, I didn't manage this intelligently. He tried to get the money back, full of regret. He had to go off himself, man. So that's what happens when you don't understand something. It's impossible to intelligently take care of something that you don't understand. So get understanding. I know I said that was my last precept, but I got to get that precept about understanding, right? This is Proverbs chapter 3 and verse number 13. Happy is the man, right? Salaki, it's Proverbs 4 and 7. That's what I'm looking for. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. With all your getting, get understanding. Any new I don't care what new breakdown you learn, what new precept, you want to make sure you understand. Shalom. Whatever you hear, you don't want to just take something from face value. You want to understand it. You want to make sure, okay, I get what you're saying about what Paul said in this verse or that verse, but I want to understand, why did Paul say that? Why did he word it like that? Why did Christ word it like that? Why? A lot of times the details is in what wasn't done or what wasn't said that can give you a lot of clues. That'll give you a lot of understanding. What in Matthew 15 and 24, what wasn't said will give you a lot of understanding. We know what he said. Yeah, you know, I'm only here for the house of Israel. But what didn't he say he was here for? And that'll give you a lot of understanding. So with all thy getting, get understanding. But I yield with that. That's my last precept.
Khan, the brother brought out Almighty, man. Right? So we're gonna close it out through the spirit. Right. So I'm gonna get second Esdras chapter 14, verse 34. It says, therefore, if so be that ye will subdue your own understanding. What's that? What's the subdue mean? It means to bring under control, right? It overcome, right? Overcome, bring under control, right? It says literally under control by force, man. But what force is you controlling it by? Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. It says, therefore, it will so be that ye will subdue your own understanding and reform your hearts. Ye shall be kept alive, and at the death ye shall obtain mercy, right? So what are you occupied in? And if your mind decides to shift towards madness or whatever that may be and think the cares of this life, you know, like I said, hey, this world is built literally to destroy you. It's built for you to not serve the Most High. So you could just focus on the things that you're that's so-called crumbling, when the Lord is the one that has his hand of everything that's going on. He knows what you're going through, and he'll be able to lift you up. The Lord will exalt you in due time. Just serve him. He's trying to have you to bring forth more fruit, you know. But you won't be able to know that if you're not subduing your own understanding, literally being occupied in his word, right? It says, right, I'm gonna read that again, man. Right? It says, therefore, if so be that ye will subdue your own understanding and reform your hearts, ye shall be kept alive. Right? Let's touch on Romans 12. So like it, Romans 12 and 1. Then we're gonna call it that. All right, Romans 12 and 1. Verse 2. So like it says, Romans chapter 12, verse 2, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Right? Paul said that himself. And you got Esdras, the Most High saying it through Esdras. It says, reform your hearts, right? Don't be conformed to this world. Transform your mind. How your mind being transformed? Through Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, his wisdom and knowledge and understanding, right? And pay attention to the prophecies. Pay attention to all wickedness breaking loose. That all the prophecies are literally coming to life out of a book that's been written over 2,000 years ago. Literally, that's coming to life. We see it daily. We see it on our people. We see it on us. If you actually watching and examine yourself, you see the things that your forefathers went through. You're going through it, right? So all praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Lord willing, brothers and sisters and children was edified. You know, what are you occupied in? Are you occupied in the prophecies? Are you occupied in you know, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, his word? Right? If not, hey, get yourself together, man. Before next thing you know, the chariots start flying and you not getting lifted up, right? But all praise to the Most High.
I want to bring this one last precept out about how, because I want to leave y'all with this. We talking about what to be occupied in and to go hard and to do this and do that. But there's a way that you do not want to do it. And I'm going to read that right quick and then we're going to close out. This is Sirach chapter 3 and verse number 21. Seek not out the things that are too hard for thee. I'm going to read that again. Seek not out the things that are too hard for thee, neither search the things that are above thy strength. Right? What you don't want to do is, if you still in the milk, we not telling you to be occupied in prophecy to where you trying to break down the 10 feathers and you don't even understand how to keep the dietary law yet. You know, stay there. Stay at your level. That's what I'm saying. It's nothing wrong with staying in the milk. Stay there. Keep learning about, keep being able to prove you're an Israelite with different precepts. Keep being able to build up your precept bank. Build up there's you don't have to be the mightiest brother bringing out revelations and prophecies. That might not be you. You might be the brother. Hey, you get into Proverbs. You that brother. You need some wisdom. You need to learn, okay, how some discretion and all of that type of stuff. So I'm gonna read that again. This Sirach chapter 3 and verse 21. Seek not out the things that are too hard for thee, neither search the things that are above thy strength. So make sure that you stand at your level and go hard at your level though. You know, go hard in the milk if you in the milk. If you in the bread, go hard in the bread. If you in the meat, go hard in the bread. But don't stress yourself out. Don't overstep trying to really be, you know, kind of slick prideful. It doesn't make sense. Stay at your level. But with that, we want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushua. Lord willing, y'all was edified by this video, and this was able to give y'all a reset on what to be occupied in, because I know it was like that for me. With Shalom.
Shalom.